pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, Lieutenant. Flight outside of speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks, you know the drill. If you've been hanging out with us for the last couple days, welcome to another NASA spaceflight live stream. It's like, what is this? We only show rockets on this stream, right? How's it going? John Galloway with NASA Spaceflight here. I just realized that a lot of you probably listened to my voice for like 30 hours over the last couple days and have never seen a picture of me. So we're standing by waiting for our remote to spool up out there. Give me a 5x5 in chat and let me know. That's what I like to see over there, that we got a 5x5 in chat. Up here, look, I can actually point now since my camera's on. John Galloway with NASA's Spaceflight, spooling up the live stream. Like we said, the media convoy is a little bit late, just running a couple minutes late here. Chris Gebhardt has taken one of our crewed remotes out there. No robots here. We shipped them all to Boca Chica. But Chris Gebhardt is getting ready to spool up that remote. And one of the tasks I'm going to have to do is make sure that there's a monitor up there that I have to look at. Make sure that we can get his camera going so we can get some live views from, I believe, the ITL Causeway today, if I was reading that correctly. Super close for a Delta IV Heavy. Now, a lot of people are going to they're going to hang out over here and say, wow, what is this? Geez, this isn't a stainless steel rocket. What's happening? If you haven't seen a Delta IV Heavy launch, and I know most of us haven't seen a Delta IV Heavy launch in quite some time, thank you for giggling. That's why I have y'all on the stream as well. Delta IV Heavy is a ridiculously cool rocket to see launch when it launches, because it literally lights itself on fire. I call it like the Flame Festival, because it actually purges the engines with hydrogen gas, flammable gas, before it takes off to pre-chill them. And this big hydrogen cloud surrounds the rocket. And on takeoff, you could actually see it in the thumbnail. Right? I'm going to scoot out of the way real quick. And you can see in the thumbnail, that is what it looks like when a Delta IV Heavy takes off. They have these things called rofies that actually spark up, and they light the hydrogen fireball around the rocket. The entire rocket is charred when it takes off. But that's all nominal, right? And if we can get a remote going from Chris, let me check the remote interface. Oh,
it's already on.
Look at this.
Right on cue.
There you go. Let's nobody showed up on this stream to watch me. We showed up to watch the rocket. So let's get back into a proper NASA spaceflight stream. Bring up our remote from Chris Gebhardt out at the Cape. Wow, there's so many cameras now. I don't know which one to click on. Hang on. Cape, I think. Right? Is that right? Cape? Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Chris, where are you? I haven't even introduced anybody yet, but tell me where you are, because that is ridiculously close to the Delta IV.
Oh, DOS. It's not even as close as I can get.
Wait, what? You had to zoom out to fit it in frame?
Pretty much, yeah. Otherwise, our banner doesn't fit.
Oh, no way.
So do you know where we normally watch Falcon 9s from? And I've said a few times, like, oh, normally it's way too close for a Delta IV because of wind patterns, and if it blows on the pad, you're inside the blast danger area. Well, the wind is in our favor today, and we're allowed to be as close as we can be.
Gosh. That's ridiculously
So, if you can't tell that I'm happy and giddy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So let's do the introductions. I was hopping right in. Chris, I was trying to stall for you while you got the camera online, because I know you were waiting in line in the car there.
Thank you, yes.
Let's get going here. Like I said, y'all, Chris Gebhardt has rolled out this remote live from Cape Canaveral. This is the ITL Causeway, and it is ridiculously close to the rocket. This isn't one of the long-range cameras. This is our one of our normal tracking cameras, one of our regular cameras, and it's close. So, Chris,
it is very, very close. Yes.
Michael, can we get Chris's thing up on the screen real quick? Because Chris is.
There it is.
Assistant managing editor with NASA Spaceflight. You've heard his voice the last couple days.
Yeah. I'm actually standing in front of a Delta IV in that photograph, so finally I'm on brand.
You're on brand.
But yes, also not just the Delta IV Heavy is on the pad, which is, of course, the star of tonight's show. And Thomas, while I was driving, no changes to the time, right? We're still targeting 8:09 Eastern?
Still targeting 8:09 Eastern time for today's launch, yep.
Fantastic, because what I am also looking at, but according to the rules of the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, which the name changed recently,
Yes.
Yes, it did. So this is the first flight from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station of the Delta IV Heavy will be tonight. But tomorrow morning at 11:20 a.m., we have a Falcon 9 rocket launching a Sirius XM satellite up into orbit as well. So we will be back for that, and I'm looking at it all standing tall and proud on Launch Complex 40. But that's for tomorrow.
That's for
Um,
tomorrow.
but that's for tomorrow. But it's a good, it's my good way of saying, hey, there's a lot happening like around the country when it comes to spaceflight. And our
Yeah.
focus has been on Texas for the last 2 days, and now our focus is back here in Florida for the next couple days.
Excellent. Well, I hope we see a launch tonight. I know Delta 4 here with the ground service equipment issues has been having some trouble getting this mission launched. But let me finish the introductions really quickly here. Also, back in the studio, we have Thomas Berghardt providing some commentary. You've heard his voice. Well, you've heard all of our voices, honestly, the last couple days. Thomas, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Hoping from the studio once again tonight, but hoping to see a Delta IV Heavy launch tonight. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
All right.
We are all hoping to see a Delta IV Heavy launch tonight. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
That's
The
right.
beast needs to awaken.
Chris, if you could, the rocket looks like it's already got a little bit of inclination to it. If you could look at that, and then we need a little bit more room at the bottom for
Yes,
the
so this
bottom
is
graphics.
yes, so this is just the zoomed in view. So I
Yep,
will bump it out just a little bit for the bottom graphics. There we go. And
gotcha.
I
We got
will
a
look at
little bit of a tilt there. Welcome to NASA Spaceflight Streams, y'all. This is how we roll. It's like we didn't have Chris Gebhardt out there for 8 hours in advance setting up the massive camera truck or anything. He literally just pulled a tripod and a broadcast unit out of the frunk of his Tesla or the back seat. I'm not sure where it was, and set it up on the causeway so that we could get the image live. Not a slight earthquake. That's just us
not an
leveling it out.
earthquake, just leveling
Yeah,
or attempting to.
you got the ball mount on the tripod
Hang
there.
on. Well, I had it level, but you're telling me it's not. So
It's the other way. You have to wait. Oh, is that the reflection of it too?
yes.
We'll get that in a second. Folks, please stand by. I'm not going to go to like the standby screen or anything like that. It's looking, I mean, I don't know. What do y'all think, Chad? Is that pretty good?
It's
Is
about as
that
good as I can get it,
about as good
actually.
as it's going to get? I think it's a lot. Something. We'll let Chad decide. Chad, is that good? Let us know. I think it looks good.
I mean,
Um,
remember too, we're not actually looking dead on to the side of the rocket. We're kind of catty corner, 45 degrees from dead face on
yeah, yeah.
to it. If that makes sense, and there are
Yeah,
some
Chad
other
says
things
it's
because
good. Chad says it's
yeah.
good. Don't worry about
Okay,
it.
cool. Yeah, it's level on my tripod at least. I don't know.
All right.
Hooray for leveling bubbles.
Oh, you can't trust those things. Those bubbles, when they heat up in the Florida
Oh,
sun, the adhesive
just
actually
happened to
gets
say
messed
level.
up and the little level bubble becomes non-level anymore. So you cannot trust those little bubbles on that tripod. Trust me. Well, trust me, but don't trust the bubbles. Um, Anyways, hey, y'all, also in the studio here helping out with the technical stuff. And
Who's that?
we'll be doing a track from Fleet Cam. We've got that camera at Rusty Seafood and Oyster Bar over in Port Canaveral. Michael Bailey, our tech guru in the back end, programmer extraordinaire that runs a lot of our code, is going to be trying a track from there. Oh, wow, Chris. That's a nice
This is how
shot.
well. This is how calm it is.
There's
Like
no
there's
wind.
not. There's no wind. There's not a cloud. Well, there's a high altitude cloud, of course, that proves me a liar as soon as I look directly above me. But there's no there's no clouds in the sky. You can see the stars. You can see the xenon lights shining out for you know
Wow.
m- hundreds of meters in all directions. It's incredibly gorgeous here today.
That's amazing. I mean, I
Yeah,
think the weather briefing was 90% go. Is that the last thing we heard from Tori?
Yeah,
that's the last thing I heard. Yes.
I will say they are working a number of issues right now. Most of them seem minor, but this is an extremely active countdown net right now. Even for ULA standards, we are not allowed to pipe in the countdown net, or else we would. But I am listening in, and if I hear something interesting, I will report it. But the anomaly team, the most recent update is that the anomaly team has completed its review of the helium regulator issue. A parameter in the red line monitor will be turned off and monitored manually. So helium regulator issue has been worked, and they're going to monitor it manually as opposed to having the automated red line monitor it. But a number of small issues being worked at this time.
Gotcha. And so, y'all, I'm going to reiterate something real quick. Accredited press, right? We're not just like showing up with a YouTube channel, and so we do have access to the net, but we can't share that with you. The rules for these sorts of launches are that we can't actually pipe that net through. So we'll listen in, and if there's something to report that we're allowed to report, we'll certainly report it because that's what we do. But we will be standing
Yeah.
by to see how we count down. What, just under 55 minutes now.
Yeah, and I do have another update. I missed it because we were talking so much, but Emery Kelly for Florida Today just tweeted what was just said over to Countdown.net, and they are currently investigating multiple alarms seen during the latest swing arm system test. So if you have been following this launch before, you will note there have been multiple delays due to swing arm issues. And it appears that after multiple months of a stand down, they are now back making a launch attempt, and once again, swing arm issues are coming up. So, no word if they're going to be able to fix those, but multiple swing arm alarms went off during the latest test, so that is not the greatest sign, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I mean, I've seen more than one Delta Heavy launch. I was down there for Parker Solar Probe, one of the first big pad hangout live streams. Back in the day, y'all, before the whole pandemic thing, we actually did a live stream standing next to the pad for about 2 hours. We had somebody that worked on the rocket come over and talk to us. We had the camera back in the background. I've actually done a full tour of this pad in the past. United Launch Alliance actually let me and my Kerbal crew go all the way up on the structure when they were doing Parker Solar Probe. So I'm gonna see if I can grab a link to that in just a minute. But I've seen a couple of these things launch. They're amazing to see, and all the GSE issues that have been sort of plaguing NROL-44 here. Um, I really hope this gets sorted out. They just need to get this thing in the sky, don't they? Well, past the sky, technically. I'm not sure how that exactly works out, but
The night sky is still part of the sky, right?
I
In
guess that's
space, they're
right.
still in the sky, I would argue.
Yeah, good deal. So yeah, that's right.
But
Destin was riding the tower. I was down doing the live stream, and we zoomed in on Destin standing next to Tori up there. And if you saw in Destin's video, the video of him talking to Tori from the ground, that was my video from the ground down there. Back when we were doing we called them virtual field trips then. So, God,
That was for Parker Solar Probe, wasn't it?
yeah, that was Parker Solar Probe, Chris.
Because we were live for like, oh gosh, we were live for hours, weren't we?
Oh
Like,
yeah, the
yeah, I
whole
think we were still live when the sun came up.
rollout. So
Seriously, I think we were. Yeah.
a really cool thing about the structure here, let's talk a little since we're on ground service equipment. A cool thing about the ground service equipment when it works is the building. So normally we've seen rockets that sort of roll out to the pad and then they get lifted up vertical or something like that. At SLC 37, Space Launch Complex 37, which is where we're looking at right now, the rocket doesn't actually roll out to the pad. I guess originally it rolls out to the pad, but here, when it's ready to launch, the building rolls away from the rocket. Chris, do you want to talk some about that? You've been up close and personal next to that, haven't you?
Yes, I have. So this rocket actually does both. It's originally assembled the tricores that form the heavy component of it, the common booster cores, and the second stage are all integrated horizontally inside of ULA's own horizontal integration facility that is located at Pad 37B. Um, and then the whole thing is taken out to the launch pad, assembled like that, erected on the pad, and then all the swing arms are brought over and connected to the vehicle, and then it usually goes through a wet dress rehearsal, um, and then the payload is brought over shortly before liftoff and attached to the top of the vehicle, all within that big building you see behind it, which is then rolled out of the way. And that building actually was rolled back earlier today, earlier this afternoon, as a matter of fact. But yes, pad stays and pad durations for the Delta IV Heavy are pretty long.
Yep.
This one is somewhat unusually long. This vehicle rolled out in November of last year.
It's
Been on
been
the
there
pad
for a
for
year.
it's been there for 13 months. Yes.
Wow.
Rolled out November of 2019, underwent its wet dress rehearsal in January of this year. And then from the moment of the wet dress rehearsal, what was interesting about that is that they did it a full half year before this mission was supposed to launch. It was originally targeted for the summer time frame before moving into August, and then it just started hitting the multiple issues that it's had over and over again, including the two last second aborts at T-3 seconds in August after the engines had already lit, and then T-7 seconds in late September, about a month after the first abort, when a second abort occurred. Confusingly, after the engine start sequence began, but not the engine ignition sequence, which is a whole nother question we can talk about with this rocket.
Yeah.
So it undergoes horizontal processing first, and then out to the pad, and then the payload is stacked vertically for the Delta IV.
Yeah, and right quick in chat, I'm putting the link to that other video where we actually got to go up on the structure at SLC 37. Maybe put that in the queue and have a look at it later, because I actually climbed up all the way to the middle nose cones. Went up the elevator and we were walking around those middle nose cones before they actually had Parker Solar Probe on the top of it for that pad tour. So that's a really cool place to be. Chris, can I do some super chats really quickly? Then we got some questions to run.
Oh, 100%, yes.
All right, look at this. Moldy Space Industries coming through with the $5 saying a few bucks for the hashtag. You know what it's going to be, right, Thomas?
Oh, well, to be fair, I can see it on my screen already, but yeah.
Oh, I shouldn't have clicked on it yet. A few bucks for the hashtag Thomas Fan Club in hopes for more than the usual Delta wet dress rehearsal. Nice. Harry Young coming through with €5. Chris being closer to Delta IV than ever. So much for getting Christine Gebhardt back in her cage. What did I miss there?
What?
Christine, you have a sister? Something I don't know
I'm
about.
I'm very happily an only child.
You know what I think Harry's talking about? Oh my God, I can't see the rockets launching. Like, I can't go that high. Sorry, I'm trying. I think that's Christine Gebhardt.
You mean my high-pitched scream of excitement when
Yes,
rockets
your
do things
ecstatic
cool and
squeal.
awesome? Yes.
Yeah. I think that's where Harry was going. Harry, we appreciate the support there.
I wear that proudly.
Rip headphone users, by the way. Sorry about that. I tried. I shouldn't have. Kylie Williams, Australian dollars from the other side of the planet and the other hemisphere, southern no less. They are hemispheres, right? Yeah, I think so. $20 saying great work backing up with another live stream after a huge few days. Loved all the amazing vision and commentary. Has Jack recovered yet? I'm waiting for Jack to check in. I know Jack was actually out there. He was tweeting some pictures from next to the LZ where Starship SN8 is a lot shorter than it used to be. There's still this nose cone is still there. It's just really small on the LZ. But Jack is out there, and I think he's going to be tweeting some pictures and stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, here is let's see, Gilherme Kuna with $1. Appreciate the support. MM54 says, belated gratitude for the great SN8 coverage all week. Great work from all involved. We appreciate you there, MM54. Thank you very much. Blue Scotto saying, so I plan on going down to Florida for a Falcon Heavy launch in the spring. Was wondering if a bunch of experienced launch watchers have any advice for me. You know what we should do, Chris?
What should we do?
We should do like a launch viewing article. Like once it gets back to where it's safe to travel and see launches, we should do a thing that's like, here's some cool places to launch. Have we ever done that before?
As NSF, no, we have not. No.
All right, that might be an idea.
Yeah.
Blue Scotto, definitely something that we can help out with. Twitter is a great place to ask some questions like that so we can get into it, especially Falcon Heavy. I'm going to keep going while we wait for Delta IV here, but reach out to us on Twitter at NASASpaceflight or any of our independent accounts. I mean, I'd be happy to DM some information, but appreciate the $5 there. MM54, also a member joining the red team. And we've got Michael Ernest saying, you guys have a lot of energy. A Starship to Delta IV Heavy. Hey, Michael, let me tell you about tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then there may be something Saturday.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things yesterday already moved, right?
I don't even look.
Virgin's not tomorrow anymore, I don't think.
That's right. I think
Oh, right. Virgin Galactic has got delayed, yeah.
Yeah, the weather was not too great
They're
out
looking
there.
at weather and things.
Mm-hmm.
But that only removed one of the 4 things that were happening tomorrow.
You know that time you were watching us out of South Padre Island and we're like, if you like space coverage, follow the NSF channel here. Click the subscribe button, turn on the notification. If you do that, we're not kidding. This is sort of our bag. We have more remote feeds than you can shake a stick at. Michael Scheimer says, we're witnessing the end of old space tech, a day after watching a spectacular demonstration of new space tech. Michael, appreciate the support there. I'll tell you, I am very grateful for old space tech because everything that we have right now really owes a lot to all the rockets that got us there. Even all the way back, this is something I said during the last Delta II launch. You like your GPS on your phone? Thank that old school, out of date rocket Delta II that launched all those GPS satellites for you. So, certainly making some progress, but we got where we are today on the shoulders of all of this technology that got us into space.
Also, I will fight anyone who disrespects Delta 2. Delta 2 is probably my favorite rocket of all time, so
Oh,
And a very successful rocket too.
absolutely.
absolutely. I would have loved to have seen
It
the
is.
last launch, but I just
Yeah,
saw some
I
fog.
will regret forever never seeing one launch in person. It
Yeah.
pisses me off every time someone brings it up.
Chris, you were saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say the Delta II was pretty cool, because it would it's like Delta IV where it like ignites a bunch of hydrogen in
Yeah.
a big orange ball. The Delta II lit 6 solid rocket boosters on the ground with no flame trench. So all of that energy just popped right up the rocket, and as soon as the boosters lit, all of that energy didn't go out and away from the rocket. It went right up, and you couldn't see the rocket
Yep.
for the first couple of seconds as it was starting to climb. So
And then
definitely
it
some heritage. It's
emerges
exactly what
from
you
a
were.
cloud of smoke. It's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
Yes.
It's one of the very first Kerbal rockets that you'll see because it's like, need more thrust, strap on more SRBs. I think it got up to 9 sometimes where they just
Yep.
slapped SRBs on the side of the thing. And that blue paint was iconic. Anyway, we're talking about Delta, so that's sort of on, I guess. Let me just grab a couple more. We want to do some questions too. Rough Riders again. Appreciate you. Chris, for you, what happens with SM or XS? Wow, this is tough to say. SXM7 if this mission delays. So are we doing a leapfrog thing? Like if Delta 4 scrubs here tonight, being positive, but just in case, SpaceX supposed to go tomorrow, what happens? Do you have any information?
Uh, it dep- it depends on what happens tonight. If Delta 4 Heavy were to, and man, we hope this doesn't happen, get down under 14 and a half seconds again, and abort very close to launch after they light the hydrogen burn-off ROFIs, radial outward firing initiators, basically sparks that
Yep.
start to
Sparkers.
burn off the excess hydrogen around the vehicle, which is very important for vehicles that burn hydrogen. In fact, that gigantic flame you see to the left-hand side of your screen is the hydrogen flare stack,
Yep.
which is burning off all that hydrogen that's boiling off, all that cryogenic hydrogen that's boiling off in the vehicle is being vented from the vehicle through those swing arms that they're having issues with and out to that flare stack. But yeah, basically, if it were to abort after that point, it's not trying again for several days.
Yeah.
So Falcon 9 would be clear to have the range tomorrow. If there are a host of technical issues and they're not able to lift off today, but they want to give it a try tomorrow, SpaceX is going to get bumped again. Now, that's what normally happens. I want to back that up a bit. And the reason for that is because SXM7, the SiriusXM satellite that's on board the Falcon 9 for tomorrow, is a commercial communication satellite.
Right.
It has probably the lowest priority on the range in terms of liftoffs and launches. What you are looking at right now with the Delta IV Heavy inside of that payload fairing is a gigantic classified satellite for the National Reconnaissance Office. It's a national security asset. And those get top priority on the range. Now, what we have seen in the past, because this mission, again, was supposed to launch in August, encountered a lot of issues and aborted at T-minus 3 seconds. They spent a month fixing some of the issues and then other issues presented in late September. But throughout all of those multiple attempts, Delta IV has been booting other missions off of already pre-approved dates that they've had. In fact, SXM7 was supposed to go this morning. Range approved for days and days and days, and then ULA last week said, we want the 10th for NROL, and it's a National Reconnaissance satellite, so they got it. But there were discussions, and some people feel rightfully so, some people feel not rightfully so, that when ULA asked for the day, there was pushback from some people, not just companies, but people on the range as well, saying, we've bended for you and you're still on the ground half a year later and you've booted other things. Are you really sure you're ready to go? Because they knew it meant bumping SpaceX. again, so if there are a host of technical challenges, SpaceX might try to say, hey, we are actually ready. Please let us have a chance. Again, and we'll see what the range says. Again, this is all kind of new. Launches didn't used to bunch up together like this. And when it happened, it was somewhat rare. But of course, with the flight rate that the Falcon 9 has, right now, these sorts of convergences of missions are happening more and more frequently now. And the range is, in its capacity as the final arbiter, right, trying to work out what's fair and what's not, and balance that against priority based on the user needs of the Eastern Range here.
Absolutely.
And to be fair, the Eastern Range, I guess we should kind of talk about that. When we say range, we mean the control authority, right? The group that is responsible for all of the tracking, all of the safety, making sure that land, sea, air are all secured, making sure that people working on base like us and the other personnel on the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station and the Kennedy Space Center are safe. And we, in Florida, that's called the Eastern Range. So when you hear me say Eastern Range, that's what we're referring to, the control authority over the Cape and Kennedy Space Center.
Gotcha. So what a good problem to have, right? There's so many rockets out here that they're starting to back up, and those are part of the upgrades, like the way that the range can support multiple missions. What assets do they spool up in like downrange tracking stations and all the different things that go into making launches occur. One of the big improvements that we've been working on making is getting the ability to improve that cadence, make it so the range can get rockets out of there faster and faster. So Rough Riders, we appreciate the support there. Gonna just run a couple members real quick. PKB Craigland. I butchered that one, but I appreciate the new membership there. Boom Baby Chase as well. Reese Jones sneaking in with the membership. Camper News Network saying thanks for all the coverage. Hoping to see a launch tonight. You and me both. Lloyd Hickman's a new member. Hey, what's up, Andre? Andre Carmel sneaking through. Yeah, he got a kayak with him or something. At least Jack's not here tonight. It says SN9 when hop. That is a great question that we can't answer for you yet. I like this one though, Andre. Andre says, Thomas, Delta 3 is better.
Delta 3? Oh god, let's just not even go there.
We all love Delta 2. Delta 4 is fantastic to watch, whether it's medium or heavy. Delta 3, yeah,
Delta
okay.
3 was an interesting experience.
Let me put it this way. Delta 3 looks like you made it in Kerbal Space Program.
It does, it's true.
I mean, Delta 3 was a Delta 4 upper stage, a skinnier version of the Delta 2 core, and enlarged solid rocket. It really does look like a Kerbal rocket. I'm not kidding you. They
just
took
use the
the
parts you
bottom
have
of the
unlocked.
2 and the top of the 4 and stuck them together. Like, yeah.
Didn't work out too well, if I recall, right?
And did not work out too well, for the record.
And it didn't. Yes.
It is noteworthy to note that the Delta 3 was retired before the Delta 2, so we'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. Andre,
its predecessor never actually stopped flying and then outflew it by. Well, the Delta 2 actually in the modern era is the most flown rocket the U.S. arsenal has.
Yep.
In the modern era, not overall, but just in the modern era. So yeah, it is. It still holds a record, though. Falcon 9's coming for it, and we'll probably break it in March or April of next year. If we're honest about that.
All right. Let me grab a couple more of these. Thanks so much for your amazing work, says Martin. Your amazing work the last couple of days. Hope this Delta finally gets to fly today. I agree with you, Martin. I appreciate the positivity there. We're all trying to think positive thoughts. Whatever your favorite rocket is, whoever you like to see fly rockets, please everyone think positive thoughts, because we're here and we'd all like to see a rocket fly tonight and tomorrow and the next day. I'd like to see a rocket fly every day. So think positive thoughts, everyone.
Well, this week, good news.
I do not want to sell any rinse, sleep, or what is it? Eat, sleep, scrub, repeat shirts. Let's not sell any of those at all tonight, please. Brian Layton, thank you very much. I would love some viewing help. My only launch was IFA, where I got to meet you. Oh, you were on the boat with me then. On a boat. Excellent. Brian, thanks for the $5 there. Robert Hobson sneaking through here with $50 saying, I can tip again now that SN8 is launched. All my super chefs have called lunches to scrub in the past. It's safe. Sorry. Oops.
Oh
NRO-44.
my goodness, here we go.
Robert, come on. I'm just going on
Appreciate
about
the super chat, Robert, but we hope that jinx does not come true.
yeah, hopefully SN8 broke that streak you were going with scrubbing launches. But we appreciate the $50. Always coming through with these big super chats so that we can keep doing this. Thank you for that. Let's see here. Andre, come on. You know something? Be positive, please. We appreciate the
Oh
$50, and
no.
I'm not going to read that one. Thank you, Andre. I like this one, though. This is back to Delta 3, so it's better just made my point. It's better because it's Kerbal? I'm not sure. Cameron Ogletree, thank you for that. Thanks for the great feed from us on the side of 528 at the Intercoastal. Cameron,
Oh,
watching
nice.
from a little further away.
I drove right by you on my way in. Hello.
There you go.
Yes.
All right. Y'all be safe out there, Cameron, and hope we get a launch tonight so you can see it. You've rolled out to the side of the Intercoastal.
There were actually driving in. There were already quite a few people like on the 528 on the coastline there waiting and watching, already having their spots staked out for tonight. So
Yep.
I hope you all enjoy it, and I hope it's a good show for everyone too.
Absolutely. Look, I'm almost to the end of the queue. Then we've got some questions. We'll do a recap here at L minus. Oh, geez. We'll talk about L minus versus T minus. Okay, give us a minute. You want to be complicated. We're gonna have to bring out the telestrator so we can draw what that
T
means.
minus versus L minus. Join us for an exciting discussion on Delta
Yeah.
4 Heavy Watch.
After these words from our sponsors.
Right.
Get a Texas Tank Watcher shirt. Whip crack horse Winnie. So anyway, Science for Kids. Appreciate the kind words here. Keep up the great coverage. TC Mutt, is the Proton the most flown rocket in the world? Anybody do a one-word answer on that?
No, it is the Soyuz.
The Soyuz. Ah.
It is the Soyuz.
Oh,
Whether
yeah,
you
for
take
sure.
whether you take it in all of its different iterations, the Soyuz U, the Soyuz FG, the Soyuz 2, or you just take the Soyuz U, it is the most flown vehicle in the world.
Yeah.
The Soyuz U once did 47 flights in one single calendar year, a record. It ended its career with 786 flights to its name.
Wow. That's a
Yeah,
lot of
and it was
flights.
actually retired a couple of years ago.
That's a workhorse. That's a design that just uses physics, and physics doesn't change, so the rocket just keeps working. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and this is honestly like there's so many different. Oops, sorry, my headphones came out. Hang on. Well, we can add to the NSF bingo card. Chris accidentally unplugs his headphones while speaking. NSF Live Bingo,
There
brought
you
to
go.
you by Chris Gebhardt and his ability to drop things. Anyway.
Yeah.
What was I saying there? Yeah, this is one of those things, and I do want to point it out, because we were talking about rocket development and everything like that. There is really something to be said about what the Soviets and now the Russians have done, where they found designs that worked.
They did.
And they just upgraded the overall design, but didn't change the overall design. I mean, they found something that worked in the 50s, and they are, to their credit, still using it. And the Soyuz is a workhorse and not going anywhere either. It's one of the two main rockets that Russia is really banking on.
Yep.
It and the Angara, which is actually going to take its second test flight next week. Yeah.
I mean, keep in mind the Soyuz design, and I know we got a Delta 4 here. We're talking about Delta 4, but the Soyuz design is what kept us on the ISS in the interim between
Yes, it
shuttle
is.
shutting down and the Crew Dragon launches, which were our sort of return to crewed flight here in the United States. So, whatever you think, Soyuz is a very capable rocket, and it just works.
Mhm.
So,
And to that end, it's worth mentioning, not just the United States, but Canada, Europe, and Japan, and anyone who's basically everyone on the planet, because you have in some way benefited from the science that has gone on aboard the International Space Station over the last 20 years that it has been permanently crewed.
yeah.
No, that debt, and I know people always want to go, well, we
Doc,
paid them
sorry,
for the
really
seat.
quick.
Nope,
Can we
but
take a look
heads
at
up.
Fleet Cam? Doc,
Sorry, Fleet Cam?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
This is
Just
the
cleared
most
it.
off-topic distraction, but I thought it was cool.
I am getting it. Just stand by. I've actually got to spool it up, so give me just a second. Is it like time critical?
Sort of.
Okay, working on it. Sorry.
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh.
off
Oh,
topic.
geez.
I apologize.
Jeez.
I just thought it looked cool.
As long as it's not in our way for launch, because FleetCam is going to be trying to track the Delta IV Heavy, thinking positive thoughts when it launches here in just under 30 minutes. But it looks like we've got a cruise ship that's actually leaving Port Canaveral right quick. And y'all, this was a surprise to me. I didn't actually have the FleetCam relay, the video feed coming in. And so I had to spool up the video feed, and I switched over to it. The incident came up. I didn't know what Michael was going to show us, but I trust him. So I've seen for some launches these ships going out of port during the launch and people on the sides of the ship actually watching a rocket launch. You could
Mhm.
never intentionally schedule that with scrubs and delays and all that sort of stuff, but that'd be pretty crazy to be on the side of the ship as it's leaving port and then just whatever, a rocket taking off. So that is off of our fleet cam, y'all. That's that 24/7 robotic camera over at Rusty's Seafood and Oyster Bar. And we watch a lot of fleet operations. Of course, SpaceX does a lot of fleet operations there at Port Canaveral. But we'll be watching the launch for Delta IV off of fleet cam as well. Michael, thanks for bringing that to our attention. That's
Yeah,
pretty.
sorry, Chris. I interrupted you over a cruise ship, and I'm sure you were not expecting that, but go ahead.
Back to Delta IV. There
Yeah,
we go.
sorry, I don't remember the question or where I was
I'm in
in
trouble.
the
No, we
answer
were
there.
we were talking
No,
about rockets and Soyuz and how that kept us going, and it really takes us into our next super chat here. And I want to get this. I want to handle this. Arash Timorian, really appreciate the $100 here. $100. A really long thing saying, good job, guys. Talking about people who really like SpaceX and think that no other rocket should launch and it's only SpaceX. And saying, remember, guys, it's Team Space. Anyone who sends anything up there should be celebrated and congratulated. Basically, we're all divided in society enough already. Let's don't do the same with Team Space. And so, Arash, I was holding that so that I could say myself, I think you're right. Lots of different companies launch rockets. There's lots of different designs. Some of them have been around for a while. Some of them cost this amount. Some of them cost that amount. Some of them land. Some of them don't. We're certainly making progress and we're moving forward, but we're all Team Space. We're all the space family. We like seeing rockets launch, and it really is cool that we can sort of share this stuff together. So thank you so much. The super generous $100 super chat there. And basically, y'all, the long and short of it, if you like rockets, you're part of Team Space, and we all want to see all sorts of rockets launch. So now, all right, there are a ton more super chats in the queue. So again, I'm going to hold on to some of these. Let's get back over to Delta IV Heavy. If you're just joining us, NASA spaceflight team bringing you live coverage from Cape Canaveral. Chris Gebhardt has spooled out one of our crewed remotes. So Chris is actually running this camera tonight. And we are standing by about 26 minutes away from the launch opportunity of the Delta IV Heavy here, thinking very positive thoughts. And Chris, I'm going to need you to check the back channel real quick. And Thomas, if you could talk about the mission or something.
Sure thing. Just a quick status update. We were aware of that swing arm issue that ULA is working on, but the countdown is proceeding through their built-in holds and things like that. It might not be it might have actually been resolved. We're waiting to hear on. ULA is pretty not really talked about entering any unplanned holds or anything. So right now we should be about 26 minutes from launch, or at least the attempted liftoff of this Delta IV Heavy after several attempts, but we are hopefully getting very, very close, and there's a couple questions that I will try and answer while Das and Chris work on our modems and things like that.
Thank you.
Good question here from Ethan. What about that fire next to the Delta IV Heavy? So on your screen, just to the left of the pad, you see that sort of single flame off to the left. That is actually what we call a flare stack, which is how how space companies burn off excess hydrogen in this example from their ground support equipment and their storage facilities, because you don't want to just release unburned hydrogen into the air because that causes a safety risk. So you actually burn it off as you vent it. And that's how you'll see that at any of the launch pads that have liquid hydrogen fuel systems. So Delta IV Heavy, both stages of this rocket use liquid hydrogen as its propellant in addition to liquid oxygen. You'll see this at the Atlas V pad where the upper stage uses liquid hydrogen. You will also see this at pads where liquid methane is used. So in Boca Chica, where we were the other day, there used to be a flare stack. And when they were going to fueling operation, we would see that come to life, and that'd be a sign that actually they were getting close to fueling operations. The reason we don't see that in Boca Chica anymore is that SpaceX has actually added a recondenser, which is now a different sign that we see when fueling activity picks up, to actually recondense the methane into liquid form and restore it instead of burning off the excess methane. So a little bit of a change of plans there, but there was a flare stack there at one point, and you'll see that flare stack at Pad 41, where the Atlas V and soon Vulcan rocket will be. There will be a flare stack there. There was a flare stack at 39A and 39B for the shuttle. There'll still be one at 39B for SLS, so that's a pretty common feature at a bunch of different launch pads. And again, it's just part of the ground support equipment managing liquid hydrogen and liquid methane systems. So that is what you're seeing. It's completely nominal. In the event of certain fueling operations, you might see that flame flare up. Again, that is also nominal. Completely expected. It's just part of the ground equipment that support these rockets. A very good question. More questions here. Is from Human. Is there another Delta IV launch on schedule soon? The next Delta IV Heavy after this one. So, and again, there's only the heavy variant of Delta IV still flying today. They retired the medium variant last year, and the heavy variant has a few missions left before its retirement. The next one after this mission will launch from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California on yet another National Reconnaissance Office mission. And then to lead that into the next question from Dougal, a regular in the chat, any more Delta IV launches from KSC after this launch? Well, technically, this is launching from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, not the Kennedy Space Center, but the Cape Canaveral area. I know what you're talking about. There are a couple more, I think two more Delta IV Heavies from Florida specifically, and either 2 or 3 from Vandenberg total before Delta IV Heavy is retired. I could have mixed those exact numbers up, but this is not the last one from Florida, and it's definitely not the last one overall as well. So a couple more Delta IV Heavies coming up, but this is the next one, and I did believe that ULA confirmed the one that's after this from Vandenberg will not go until this one goes. So if this one has some sort of scrub for some reason, they would delay that Vandenberg one as well to make sure this one gets off the ground without an issue. But again, right now, we're just under 23 minutes away, and everything appears to be on schedule. As far as that timer that I keep referencing, and we were mentioning this earlier, Ethan, with the question of what does L minus mean? So there are a couple different types of countdown clocks that you will see in regards to rocket launches. Sometimes you see L minus, and sometimes you see T minus. The T minus clock is the clock that is on like the flight computers and in mission control, and the clock that synchronizes all of the mission events during countdown and during flight. But that is not necessarily the time until launch. L minus is the time until liftoff, which is why we show that countdown on screen, because that's the most relevant one. For Delta IV Heavy, and you can look at the timeline on the left to get a clue of this, the T minus clock is at less than 22 minutes right now, counting down, and it will reach T minus 4 minutes and go into a pre-planned hold. And at that point, the T minus clock will stop at T minus 4 minutes. The ULA team will go through some final checks and use that built-in hold to make sure that everything is good to go before proceeding. At that point, when the T minus clock and the L minus clock both hit 4 minutes, the T minus clock will resume, and then both clocks will be synced up from that point forward. So that's the difference between the T minus clock, which has those built-in holds in there, allowing the ULA teams to address any issues that they come up with, and then the L minus clock, which is always counting down until the targeted liftoff time. So that's the difference there, and I hope you answered your question there. I also can provide an update on that swing arm issue. It looks like the Countdown.net has confirmed they have resolved that issue, so no technical issues being worked at this time. All items on
They
track for
resolved
launch. Weather looks good as well.
They
Sorry.
resolved all of them?
So yeah, they
There was
had
a
a couple.
list.
Well, so because they had some ground hydrogen leak inspection issue earlier that they resolved a while ago, and then there were
Okay.
a few different alarms when they tested the swing arm system, but they
Right.
have resolved all of those alarms because they reconducted the test and it all appears well. So
Okay. Was the gaseous hydrogen thing related to the fire alarms that were going off earlier too?
maybe I don't. It was a while ago in the countdown,
Yeah.
so I
Okay.
think it
Okay.
was
That
yeah.
sounds about right then. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
So yeah, everything proceeding on track now,
Excellent. Excellent. Well, hey,
and I'm
I
gonna take
like
30
that.
seconds to yeah.
because that means we're like about 20 minutes out from an anticipated liftoff then.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Cool. Are there any questions in our queue and everything?
Yep. Let me get back into the queue here. Here's a good one, and Chris, you can talk about this. Why does the Delta IV Heavy light itself on fire on ignition?
Yes, this is one of the hallmarks of the Delta IV Heavy. So when we see rocket launches, right? We see the engines ignite, we see exhaust go places. What we don't normally see, and what is usually very, very bad for rockets, is if they go to light their engines and you see a gigantic fireball right around that time. But that's actually how the Delta IV Heavy operates. It's a beast. Sometimes it actually takes off on fire. That's not hyperbole. That's not a joke. It has literally taken off with the outside of its thermal protection system on fire before because of this fireball, which looks very, very dramatic, but it's actually done in a very controlled way. So basically, the three engines that are on the core that are on the three engines at the bottom of this vehicle. There's one RS-68A engine from Aerojet Rocketdyne on each of the three cores that are bolted together to form the first stage of this vehicle. And those engines are very, very hydrogen rich in their combustion, meaning you need a lot of hydrogen in that combustion chamber when you go to ignite them, so that the ignition sequence actually comes up and works properly. Scott Manley has an excellent video on the RS-68A and its hydrogen rich history and operation. But basically, the way they do this is to ensure that there's hydrogen there and also to ensure that they have burned off the excess hydrogen that sort of collects in gaseous form around the vehicle. Is at T minus 14 and a half seconds, they will light sparks at the bottom of the vehicle. These are called the ROFIs, ROFI, and it stands for Radial Outward Firing Initiator. And the job of those ROFIs, there are actually two ROFI systems on the Delta IV Heavy. But the job of the pad ROFIs is to start burning off that extra hydrogen. And part of the way they do that, or part of the reason they need to do that, is because at T minus 10 seconds, there is a huge dump of hydrogen into the combustion chambers of the engines to start to condition them for their ignition at T minus 7 seconds. And because you have to release all of that hydrogen there, you now have to burn it off very safely before you actually ignite all the engines. It's kind of counterintuitive of how it works, but you need all that excess hydrogen in there to ensure a good start of the engines. But you also need to be burning off all that hydrogen that gets out of your engines and into the air around your vehicle.
Hey, Chris.
So
Chris,
yeah,
you want to see a Rofi real quick?
sure. Let's see a Rofi. Yes, yes. Thank you.
So when we
Visual
did the
aids are
pad
helpful.
tour with United Launch Alliance, we actually got to stand underneath the. I'm going to not full screen that. Sorry about this. This is something that we're working on. But this is from that tour video. And right here, we were actually standing right underneath the Rofis. I really have to fix this before NSF Live. Come on. There we go. It says Rofi cover on it right there from the video that we had. I was queuing that up as fast as I could while you were talking
Thank
about
you.
Rofi. And I need to
Thank
fix
you.
the frame rate.
That's awesome. So basically, when they do this huge dump of hydrogen at T minus 10 seconds, they now have a lot of it that escapes from the engines that they need to burn off. And the way they do that is they ignite they ignite they ignite one of the side boosters, the one all the way to the right-hand side of your screen on this one. They ignite that engine first at T minus 7 seconds, and that ignition serves to then burn off that excess hydrogen, which then appears as a fireball around the vehicle. But what it does is it burns off all that potentially dangerous hydrogen so that when the other two engines start at T minus 5 seconds, everything is in acceptable limits for a nice, stable ignition and liftoff of the vehicle. Now, the reason it sometimes takes off on fire is because that burning of the excess hydrogen 10 to 7 seconds prior to liftoff can sometimes ignite the thermal protection system foam on the outside of the vehicle. So it can end up taking off on fire. It's an impressive sight. It's an impressive rocket. So definitely, you will definitely see all of those flames when we get down to the business end of this countdown, starting at about the 7-second mark when that first engine will light on the stage. Now, not to be confused, there is a second set of ROFIs, of radial outward firing initiators, that are actually inside of the combustion chambers of the three engines themselves. This actually, it was actually back in September, Thomas, and Dallas, I think, when we all realized, wait a minute, there are two sets of these ROFI sparks, sparklers, right?
Yep.
Because we all saw on the September board at T minus 7 seconds, we all saw the ROFIs going for 7 seconds. And then Tori Bruno came out and said the ROFIs didn't fire, so we're good. And everyone was like, wait a minute, but we
Wait.
saw them. And that's when Tori was like, well, you saw the pad ones to burn
The
off
other
the hydrogen.
ROFIs.
Right. You didn't see, I meant the other ROFIs that actually ignite the engines, right? So just like the ROFIs provide the sparks to burn off the excess hydrogen, inside the engines, what the ROFIs are doing is providing the spark of ignition for to start burning the hydrogen and the oxygen and getting a strong and stable combustion going there in the engines. So there are two sets of ROFIs, one that you see very visually at 14.5 seconds, and the others you do not see, but you know they fired when you see that fireball begin to erupt around the vehicle.
Absolutely. And
Nice. We both said absolutely.
Same wavelength there, Nas. Really quick, just want to address something in chat. The targeted liftoff time right now is 8:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It was 8 o'clock Eastern earlier, but there was a slight delay earlier. Some people thinking that our clock is wrong. It isn't. I promise. They are targeting 8:09 Eastern, so we are about 13.5 minutes from launch right now.
Right.
But we are currently holding at T minus 4 minutes, correct? I think
Yes,
I heard
they
you
have
giving
just
that
entered the T
explanation
minus
earlier.
4 hold.
Yes.
Good deal. Again, hey, y'all, thanks for coming back. I'm a little bit curious. How many people are coming back to watch this Delta IV Heavy launch? Think positive, because you found us during the last couple days when we were checking out Starship. I'm super curious. If you've come back to our channel because you found us in the last couple days, just let me know in chat really quick, because there are a lot of, I wouldn't have expected this many people to roll out for a Delta IV Heavy, but what, did y'all lose a bet? How did you end up back on this stream? There's a lot of people say, look at this. Wow. Folks,
Awesome.
thank you so much for coming back to our little stream over here.
Indeed.
We've been
And we're
doing this
hoping,
for a
and we're
while.
hoping, along with United Launch Alliance, to give you a spectacular show for the Delta IV Heavy tonight.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Y'all, I mean, that's really cool that y'all have all come back. You didn't get completely fed up with us when we were streaming for 12 hours a day, waiting for the big shiny Starship to take off. So again, we're standing by for NROL-44 here. Chris is out there. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm out here. I actually have a question for you, Thomas, if you've got a second. A few
Sure.
seconds. So it's a classified payload. It's called
Yes.
NROL-44, standing for National Reconnaissance Office Launch 44, which is not the 44th National Reconnaissance Office launch. They're well over that. So even the code names are code names in some regards. But then, Thomas, if it's a classified payload, how do I know that it's likely an Orion Signals Intelligence satellite on board this rocket tonight if it's classified and we're not supposed to know?
That is a very good question, and it actually ties into this question that I will bring onto the screen because I will answer this as well. But yes, we have a very good idea that this is likely part of the Orion internet. I just said internet intelligence satellites. Excuse me. Going to geostationary orbit. Part of that is some clues from the launch inclination. This rocket is going due east from Cape Canaveral, and that is based on the hazard areas downrange to protect aircraft and boats in the Atlantic Ocean to make sure that all of them remain safe. So we do always know kind of what direction the rocket is heading. And if a rocket is going due east from a launch site, that is almost certainly meaning that they are going into a geostationary orbit. And we
Can
do
we just,
know.
sorry,
Yeah.
can I just stop you for a second? Why are they showing a Delta II rocket on the ULA webcast?
They're
I mean,
going
this
through
is the
the-
rocket we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it is a Delta II. That's why I switched to it.
Thank you, ULA.
They're talking
This
about
is
the
amazing.
heritage of the Deltas and talking about Delta
Yeah, I
II,
guess.
the workhorse
Gotcha.
that was retired with ISAT-2 last year before.
Gotcha. So, sorry, Thomas. That totally blew my brain when I looked over at the ULA thing, and I was like,
Yeah,
"All
that was
right,
funny.
I know we were just talking about this, but I can't
that's the
conjure
Kerbal
things
rocket.
into reality." That's the Kerbal rocket. That's
Yeah,
the 3. Yes.
That's why I switched to it.
Oh,
Look at
then
that,
there's
they're
Delta
numbered.
3. Oh, geez. But yeah, so we do know from the fact that it is flying due east from Cape Canaveral, going towards a geostationary orbit, and plus, we know what kind of missions that the Delta IV Heavy is required for, the kind of heavy and large payloads that are needed. It has a very big payload fairing, and the Orion series of intelligence satellites have some of the biggest antennas of any satellite. In fact, by some accounts, again, it's partially classified, so all we know about these satellites are from leaks and things like that. But what we do know is that these satellites are believed to be the largest satellites in existence, short of the. Actually, depending on how big the antennas are, they could actually be bigger than the International Space Station, which is just absurd. They're huge satellites. But of course, they're all the way in.
Really?
Yeah, there are 100-meter diameter antennas that deploy.
Yeah.
These things are huge.
They're huge. 100 meter, Chris.
100
meter.
meters. Yes, Lord.
So yes, these satellites are huge. They're super cool. If you have a chance to like go down the internet rabbit hole of what a Orion intelligence satellite looks at, totally recommend because it's super cool. Yeah, so based on those kind of factors, and there's kind of a process of elimination, you can kind of figure out, well, unless it's some one-off payload that has never launched before, and it's some one weird, unique mission, this is almost certainly one of these Orion intelligence satellites. And we know from previous launches that we've kind of tied to those Orion satellites. We know that previous Orion satellites have launched on Delta IV Heavy. So that's kind of all of those clues combined gives us a very reasonable expectation as to what's on board this one.
And the profile that it's flying is something we don't see. Sorry, the profile that the rocket is flying tonight is not something we normally see either, is it, Thomas? This is what we believe, of course, based on the knowledge that it's likely an Orion Signals intelligence satellite. This is also doing a direct to geostationary insertion tonight.
Yes.
So
Yes,
how does
which
that differ from geostationary transfer, which is what we normally see rockets do, like Atlas V and Falcon 9?
Absolutely, and I want to speed run this because we are getting close to final pre-launch polling. But to answer the
Yes.
question, yes. So there are two ways to get to geostationary orbit. You can drop off the satellite on an orbit where the highest point of the orbit is at geostationary altitude. The altitude, which, if you have a circular orbit there, you rotate at the same rate that the Earth does, and therefore the satellite is above the same point on the Earth's surface at all times. Tons of satellites take advantage of this, including this one. So you can have the highest point on the orbit be at that altitude, where the lowest point is somewhere closer to Earth, and then the satellite will use whatever its own propulsion methods are to finish that final maneuver and enter a circular orbit at that altitude. Or you can get into that transfer orbit, that's called a geostationary transfer orbit, and then the upper stage of the rocket can stay attached to the payload until it reaches up to geostationary altitude. At that point, the upper stage lights its engine again after a multi-hour coast phase and circularizes the orbit for the satellite and then deploys the payload. So the payload doesn't have to use its own propellant. So for payloads that are light enough and rockets that have upper stages capable of doing this, they do
Real
that.
quick, Thomas, it looks like they're about to do the polling. So I'm going to see if I can bring that up here. And I'm going to
All
try
right, so
to
we're going
put it in your
to
headset.
listen in to mission controllers as they poll readiness to go for launch. Here we go.
We're going to try. I'm not sure that we're going to. Well, they're not actually broadcasting audio. I'm waiting for them to send me some audio.
Like ULA is not broadcasting audio?
Yeah, I'm not seeing audio coming off of that. I saw that come up on the screen, and they're not sending anything right now.
It looks like they haven't started checking things off yet, so they might just not be talking yet.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm going to keep it up this way because it looks like they're about to start that poll, and I'll let you know I'm working on that audio there.
Go. That sounds good, but until then, you can see Delta IV Heavy is fully.
Locks. Go. LH2. Go. Second stage system locks.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
Michael, I don't think we're getting that audio.
Go.
Y'all aren't hearing it, are you?
Go.
I'm not.
I think we are.
Go. RFFTS. Go. Flight control. Go. COM. Go. GCQ.
Go.
Operations support.
Go.
Pneumatics. Go. Umbilicals. Go. ASGAS.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
Redline monitor.
Go.
Quality.
Go.
Op safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer.
Go.
Anomaly chief.
Go.
Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
Launch vehicles ready to launch.
Mission-
-6 minutes.
Mission director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count. MEQ, establish swing arm, lock pins pull.
Okay, and there you have it. Pre-launch polling is complete, and all systems are go for launch at 8:09 p.m. Eastern Time.
Countdown will resume approximately.
I got it. There you go.
We're about 5 minutes away from launch. They will release this hold in about 1 minute.
All right. Always a little bit challenging there. We're tuning into their stream to bring you that publicly released go, no go poll, right? That's why we can use it, because it's on their YouTube channel. And it's a little bit tricky for us to bring that audio in for you, but we got it done. Thank y'all for the help. Like I say, y'all are our remote production crew, and I'm like, can we hear this? And y'all say yes. That helps me out a lot. But as they just said, good to go, just past the go, no go poll, and we are standing by. I really hope we get to see this thing go tonight, y'all.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah. I'm ready for a Delta for launch. Okay, and as we do, y'all, we're going to put a moratorium, not reading any super chats out right now. When we get this close to launch, we got to sort of pause the super chats, the questions and stuff like that. Chris, you're out in the field. You were about to say...
Oh, yes. No, I was just about to confirm what I heard over there, that we will be picking up the count. Actually, we should have just picked it up by my count. It just hit 8:05, so we are 4 minutes and counting. We should be.
Yep, that looked like what we had on our screen.
Hold has been released. T-minus 4 minutes and counting. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Now, folks, this is one of the things, just the way we have these official feeds. We're going to use this as cover tonight. United Launch Alliance is going to have that feed, but it's not going to exactly match ours. There's no way for us to make the two things exactly match up. I'm looking for a countdown. See, they have T-minus 4 minutes on the screen right now.
Yeah, we are way ahead.
They usually don't put the exact counter up.
Well, we're about 30 seconds ahead of them.
Yeah.
Right now. And our camera, being the fast and agile news organization that we are, we have almost no latency on our cameras. What you see on Chris's camera, the NSF remote from, it says press site tonight. It's not the press site, it's the ITL Causeway. Anyways, I just noticed that. That's like 7 seconds shy of live. And United Launch Alliance broadcast has about a 30-second delay because they're a big company, et cetera, et cetera. So the two broadcasts aren't going to be exactly synced up. I'm not sure what the synced is probably right. But we will continue to watch here and trust our count, because the stream we get from them is a little bit delayed. Chris, go ahead. We're getting ready to go to your microphone, I believe, right?
Yes, indeed, we are. We're going to transfer over to my microphone so that you can hear the Delta IV in all of her glory as she lifts off. Again, just over 2 minutes from now. So yeah, just let me know when we're ready for that switchover in microphones. I've got everything up and ready, and I'm just about to start the remote camera, so it will be firing and doing its job as, remote picture camera that I have with me.
Excellent. So Chris, if you mute your mic, I'll bring you into microphone audio. We'll have you on a slight studio delay here, but your microphone is online, and we should get a little bit of generator noise there. So Chris, you are on camera microphone now. And we hear a camera going off.
There is some generator noise next to me, yes, because of the lights and everything that are around us generating. Yes. Oh, you can really hear that camera going, can't you? Yes.
It's all good, Chris. Yeah, don't worry about it. Less than 2 minutes. Tossing the commentary over to you.
Yes,
Chris, you're in the field. Yeah. Take it away.
Yeah, okay, so one thing that we are going to be waiting for, as I said, we will see those radial outward firing initiators, or sparks, fire at 14 seconds. And then we should see the fireball begin between 10 and 7 seconds here. And I've got my team in the background who is passing things along to me, but we are at this point 1 minute and counting until the Delta IV Heavy launch here. Again, I'm going to go ahead and zoom on in for us. We are all zoomed in. And the camera is ready for tracking. So we are about 35 seconds and counting.
Chris, confirm you're on manual focus.
All
They are
right,
good.
passing 25 seconds now. I am indeed on manual focus, yes.
Copy.
15 seconds. Rofi ignition.
All right, here we go. We are under 14 seconds. All right, the Rofies have lit. Here we go. And we have ignition.
Yeah.
And
There's the
we
fireball.
have a liftoff of the Delta IV Heavy.
Wow. Look at that, y'all. And from webcam as well. The chords on Delta 4 on webcam. Michael, fantastic job there. Chris with a fantastic track as well. Look at this, y'all. That's a lot of fire right there. Again, remember, these two videos here are not synchronized. The United Launch Alliance video is the seconds behind us, but Chris Gebhardt out there in the field with the NSF remote, and you can see the rocket almost being eclipsed by its own plume. Look at that, got some IR on the ULA side, but look at this. Let's go full screen.
All right, an absolutely incredible start to the mission here.
Wow.
Delta IV Heavy lifted off from its launch pad at 8:09 on the dot. The roar of that beast as it headed out. You are seeing all three of the common booster cores on forming the first stage firing. That the two side boosters are firing at 100% of rated thrust, and the center core has been throttled back to about 55% of rated performance, reducing its propellant consumption because those side boosters are actually going to separate here, and then that core stage will continue burning for another minute. And those core stages are called the common booster cores, so they're actually identical to one another, so they hold the same amount of propellants, so they have to throttle down the core stage engine to conserve propellant in that core stage so that they have it later on.
And Chris, you've still got it. It looks fantastic right now. You can see stars going by in the background.
Absolutely incredible shot. The
All
vehicle's
right, we
already
are
gone
standing
through
by
maximum
for that
dynamic pressure.
separation. It is about 4.5 minutes actually until sorry, it's actually about my apologies there. I'm trying to keep track of everything here. It is yeah, it's a very long burn. It's a over 4-minute burn of those side core boosters.
And we've still got the track. Chris, we're going to go ahead and bring you to real-time audio again.
And
if
you
you
can see it
could
just
give us your
tracking.
mic back. And y'all,
Yes, I am here now on real
there
time
you go.
audio.
Thank you,
Yes.
Chris. Back to real time, so a little bit easier for us. Y'all, we go with that other microphone so you can get the full sound of launch. We don't want you on like a cell phone lav to feel the energy of the launch, and that's why we do that little microphone handoff. Another star it's going past. Chris, I can't believe this. Look at this.
Oh yeah.
It must be clear as a bell out there tonight.
Oh yeah, it really is. It is absolutely clear. Absolutely clear. Oh, I lost it again. There it is.
Yep. And we just saw a flare off the side of it as we were passing 4 minutes. That was the expected shutdown, or what are we looking at there?
That
You said
was
it was a long
shutdown
burn.
and separation. Separation confirmed.
Yeah, so those two side cores have separated. So all of that propellant that they reserved in the tank by by throttling down that center core RS-68 engine is now burning that remaining propellant that it conserved. And it will burn until about the 5-minute mark. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. The Delta IV is absolutely powerful. By the way, that Stardust that you saw it go by,
Yeah,
that was Betelgeuse
it is.
or
Is that what you're
Betelgeuse or
still
however
looking
you want
at?
to say it. Yeah. No,
Are
no, no,
are
no, no. I'm actually looking at the rocket now.
okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it looks like even United Launch Alliance has gone to the animated telemetry. That's one of the things that we get with these launches. Maybe we'll get a little bit more video, but at some point for NROL, don't they cut their feed?
They do. They do. They will cut the feed here because of the classified nature of the mission.
Right.
So they will cut the feed right around payload fairing separation.
Gotcha. And
And
you can
then
still
from
see the rocket with your eyes, right?
oh yeah. In fact, we should see core stage extinction here momentarily
Good
because
deal.
that's
So
it. Dead
here we
center of the
go.
frame. There it goes. Yep.
Look, we're going to have a
Now
bet.
watch for the
Chat. If that's
separation.
the rocket, it's going to disappear in a second, like that. So everybody in chat who was saying, oh, Chris is tracking a star. That's not even the rocket anymore. Did you see it just turn off? Okay, thank you. Let me tell you, Chris has tracked a couple rockets in his time, and he was tracking the rocket because we saw center core shut down there, didn't we, Chris?
We did indeed. I was seeing if we could see the ignition of the RL-10B, but I don't see it with my naked eye. Thomas, has it happened yet?
Well, so we've just got
Hello?
that really long delay on the United Launch Alliance stream. It's about 30 seconds behind in what we're seeing on the ULA stream.
Yeah,
So
but
we're
yeah, we
just
have
seeing
confirmed
stage
upper
7.
stage ignition.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that was just too weak for me to see here on the ground. But yes, you
Yes.
saw it. You saw the separation of the shutdown of that core stage engine, and that separation absolutely gorgeous. But here's where we're going to right here's where we're going to come into that blackout, right, Thomas, where ULA is going to cut the audio and the
Right.
entire feed and everything because of the classified nature of this mission.
Yeah, and that's
Yes, the fairing, the payload fairing has jettisoned. We've confirmed that as well.
about the time where United Launch Alliance starts to say, and this will be ending the broadcast for NROL-44 due to the classified nature of the nature of the payload, etc., etc.
Exactly. Exactly,
Um,
indeed. But Das, I have your favorite image because one of the neat things about this mission, it's classified, right? So the
Yep.
way we're going to know if it's a success or not is we will wait for the National Reconnaissance Office to tweet, or we will wait for Tori Bruno to tweet a string of 3 numbers. And Thomas, what is that number? Do you know what that number is that we're looking for today?
Oh God, I don't remember. I'd have
Sorry,
to go back.
I'm
It's a
throwing you on the
hundred
spot.
something,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, basically, Tori Bruno, the CEO of ULA, confirms a successful launch by tweeting out the number of the successful launch that it is for ULA. And it's into the 3 digits now. So either we'll know from the NRO or we will know from Tori Bruno and ULA, basically saying mission success. But that will be many, many hours from now, given that this is a direct to geostationary orbit insertion flight today. And Das, there's your favorite view, right?
Yes, that's what I switched to. We switched over to my personal favorite view on launch day. It is a pad, a rocket launch pad that no longer has a rocket on it. And that means that we just got to see a fantastic launch live from the Cape with Chris Gebhardt out there tracking the rocket like a pro, and then tracking the star for a second, and then tracking the rocket again in time for center core shutdown.
There we go. There we go.
Yes. Chris, is that what happened? Did you were tracking it and then did you get on a star for a second and then you zoomed out and you saw the star with the rocket, you zoomed back in?
No, no, no. I was actually tracking the rocket the whole time. I lost the rocket when the camera jiggled, so I had to zoom back out to find it in the frame. But no, I was on the rocket the whole time.
Ah, okay.
It's
Gotcha.
just it's so clear. It looked like a star.
It looked like a star because it was so clear. I'll take it. So what do we want to do? We've got some more questions we want to answer. How much
So
time do
we
you
can
have, Chris?
take a couple of questions, but I actually don't know because this is a classified mission. We're not staying here until payload separation like we normally would and like we will seek to do a little bit longer after the initial launch tomorrow morning from SpaceX. But yeah, I actually should break down and get going. Most people have already. But if you guys want to keep it up, I can keep this view going as long as possible.
Yeah, if you give us this view for just a couple seconds, I think that'll be good,
Yeah,
right?
no problem. Yeah.
All right. Thomas, can you grab a couple questions? And
That is a thing I can do, absolutely.
cool.
Let's see what we've got in the queue here. Oh, here's a great question. Is there a reason that the NRO chose an evening launch? Well, launches at night are more easy to keep secret. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what happened. The time that a launch actually occurs is purely based on the physics of the mission. Depending on where exactly in orbit this satellite has to go, which sort of geostationary slot for this particular mission, that is what dictates when the launch can occur. A lot of times for missions to geostationary orbit, the flight profile doesn't really change based on time of day, but the amount of sunlight the spacecraft gets after separation does change. So sometimes they want to make sure they deploy the satellite into sunlight so the solar panels can charge the batteries or something like that. So those are the types of requirements that dictate when a launch occurs. It's not about the NRO deciding, oh, we want to launch at night. It's not an arbitrary decision like that. It's purely physics based. So there's a good question. And another one about Delta IV Heavy from Sideswipe. Who or what will take over the duties of Delta IV Heavy once it's retired? ULA has a new rocket named Vulcan that will take over for both the Atlas V family and the Delta IV Heavy family. Both of those rockets will be retired in favor of their new Vulcan rocket, which will have more payload capacity than Delta IV Heavy or Atlas V did. Has some cost saving measures in there, things like that. But yes, the new Vulcan rocket will be taking over for Delta after retirement.
And just really quickly, Thomas, this was the first broadcast that we used Flight Club predicted telemetry for. And you can see that based on Declan, who is the one that generates the data, based on his predictions, um, the upper stage should now be in a coast phase. So the velocity is no longer increasing at a rapid rate. And that is because on the predicted track, the upper stage is now coasting, although this is a classified mission, so we don't know for sure, but based on the previous mission predictions that he's basing his data off of, the upper stage should be in a coast phase.
Good deal. And that's what Michael's talking about in the upper right-hand corner, that simulated telemetry we have there. Flight Club's really cool. The guy that made it, Declan, actually creates all these tracks, like simulates all these tracks and comes up with the data that he thinks the track is going to be based on the past launches he's seen and all that sort of stuff. And a lot of the times it's really accurate. Michael's actually programmed Fleet Cam to follow a launch, like track a launch using the data from Flight Club. So if you want to go and check it out at at flightclub.io is the website. Flightclub.io is the website. At flightclub.io on Twitter. But a massive thanks. Hey, Declan, shout out. Good job with all the work that you do over there.
We have a good question here to kind of wrap up our coverage. When is our next launch coverage? We will be live tomorrow morning from right here at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station for the launch of a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket carrying the Sirius XM-7 satellite. That launch is scheduled for no earlier than 11:20 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
So
In fact,
feel
I'll
free.
be literally at the exact same spot.
Right,
Oh,
yeah, you'll
geez.
be on the ITL Causeway again. The same exact spot. So come back for another launch tomorrow. We will be live for that. We will have new daily videos from Boca Chica, as always, on the channel as well. So if you want the recorded videos, make sure you feel free to subscribe for those, as well as our launch live streams. Absolutely.
Yep. Good deal.
Excellent.
And so,
Yes.
Chris, you're getting to where you've got to pack up out there, aren't you?
Yes, I am. We're starting to get
Shoot
lined
away.
up here.
Okay. So let's go ahead and start to shut this down because we will be out of live cameras. We need more robots. But Chris, thank you so much for rolling out today. Folks, it's Chris
Oh,
Gebhardt,
100%.
assistant
Yeah.
managing editor, technically my boss, out there in the field. You can find him on Twitter at ChrisG_NSF, operating the remote camera, answering some questions. And if you're interested in what's going on, he's a really good Twitter follow for accurate information concerning spaceflight news. Chris, thank you so much for rolling out today.
That is my pleasure, and I will be here tomorrow with our camera rig. Yeah, I'll be here in 14 hours. Yep.
Jeez.
Falcon 9, yeah.
All right. Also, back in the studio, providing some Q&A, Thomas Burkhart. Thomas, thank you for being with us here today.
Absolutely, and I think I'll be back here same time tomorrow as well, or I guess not same time, tomorrow morning, I should say, for SpaceX Falcon 9 as well.
All right. So you can find Thomas over there on Twitter at TGMetsFan98. What you're saying? Don't judge you for your sports. What'd you
Yeah,
say
don't
last
judge my sports teams, okay?
time? All right. Another good Twitter follow there. Running some things on the back end. We've got Michael Baylor. Michael, thanks for everything you do.
Yep, no problem. That was fun. Glad
Excellent.
for ULA that just finally got off the pad.
Oh, we all are. Geez, that NROL-44 finally went.
Seriously,
sure.
yeah.
All right.
What's
and
spectacular? And it was spectacular when it did.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I mean, it's the Flame Festival. It's the South Florida Flame Festival, or I guess Central Florida Flame, whichever way. Anyways,
Yes.
y'all, and lastly, here from the studio, I am John Galloway with NASA Spaceflight. If you know me from over on Twitch, they call me DOS, but you got to use real names sometimes. So here we are, and I want to say thank you so much to everybody who joined us. We will be, like we said, back tomorrow morning for more live launch coverage with the entire NSF crew. It's like Dingo and the Baby in the morning sometimes on these live streams, but it's all good. We hope that you enjoyed it. We hope that maybe you learned something. So many good questions and stuff that comes through. You're breaking us on the super chats. We used to read out every single super chat, and we just can't do it anymore. We can't keep up. Andre with 80 different super chats over here. I'm making sure I didn't miss any big ones. I mean, we've literally gotten to a position where we can't read all the super chats anymore, and we're going to have to talk about what we're going to do. But in any event, we appreciate all the support, whichever way you supported us. Whether you retweeted the tweet, you sent it to a family member, you were here asking questions, you just watched, put it up on the TV, share it with the kids. Whatever it is you do, we appreciate you. But for now, the NASA Spaceflight team signing off after so far successful launch of NROL-44. Congratulations to ULA, and we'll stand by for spacecraft separation. I don't think we'll get that exactly. We'll maybe just get Tori Bruno saying a number once they get success on that mission. But we will catch y'all next time. Later, nerds.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
RCP chamber pressure looks good. Following up. Roger, roll with Planet. Water towers fly! Body downside of speed off. Off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.